And we are live living in Jacksonville. And tonight we got another special treat. I love these nights, people. I get to hang out with people that I spent, well, courting. We just started talking before we went live. And I got Bobby on here, Mr. Conroy. And we were just talking about how literally we started chatting via email. Literally in 2 days, it'll be exactly 1 year. And he relocated from Pennsylvania here to Nocatee, and he's in his brand new house. And we were just like, how weird is that? I asked him to be on tonight to talk about his experience. And in 2 days, you said it's going to be 1 year officially. Is that right?
1 year exactly. I reached out, sent you a very long email introducing myself, my wife, my family, what we were interested in, everything I knew about you, because at that point, Greg, I think I watched every single video you did up to that point on YouTube. And yeah, May 18th, 2023. And here we are a year later in my brand new house, joining you on your live stream to talk to others out there who are contemplating the same thing that we did. So couldn't be more.
Yeah, and I appreciate that more than ever, Bobby. And I truly mean this in the goodness of my heart. It's not only just being able to help other people that are trying to make these huge moves and transitions, because I actually have a few people from Pennsylvania, but it's also it's just so cool for me to be able to reconnect with you because, dude, after a whole year of back and forth and going through this thing together, I work a heck of a lot, but I mean, this is an opportunity for me, a married man with two little ones myself, to be able to still kind of just sit back and hang out and chat and talk about your experience. But before we get into that, anyone who's watching, I know there's one or two of you on. If you're watching and you have any questions about transitioning from another state here to Florida, if you're from Pennsylvania, great. But make sure you put in the comments where you're watching from. Love to hear where you're watching from. I know I have folks from all over the country, even international folks watching and moving here. So if you're watching from somewhere, go ahead and put it in the comment. I'll say hi. And if you have any questions for me or Bobby, put it in the comments. We're going to share. This is totally interactive. So this is your opportunity for sure to reach out if you have any questions, because we're going to dig in. We're going to have fun. We're going to chat. Like Bobby said, he he contacted me about exactly a year ago today, and he's moved into a very beautiful home, which we're going to get into here in Nocatee. And so the first thing I'm going to start out, Bobby, I don't know if you want to specify where you are from in Pennsylvania.
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Okay, cool. And that's fun because ironically, my wife's family, her parents are from Pittsburgh. But a little town. I'm not technically in Pittsburgh, but a little town in the suburbs. So let's jump into it, man. I'm just curious. I mean, I think from what I remember, you guys were like, hey, we were going to move down to Florida, but we're not going to wait to retire. We're going to do it now. Is that kind of right? Or do I have that right or wrong?
Yeah, no, that's kind of right. I mean, so when I contacted you last year, our daughter was finishing up her junior year of high school. And at the beginning of your videos, I think you always, or at the end of your videos, you always mention if you're 30 days out, 60 days, 90 days. And I'm thinking, well, what about 365 days? Only because we really wanted to take our time, and just really research areas and just look things up. And, like I had said in that first email to you, my wife had spent a long time in Florida before we met. And, we were sort of talking about at some point, retiring and going to live in Florida. But to be honest, and not to get weird here, but, nobody knows what's going to happen. And our daughter was probably going to go to college in Florida, which she's going to do. And we just thought, well, let's just go now. Like, why wait 10 years? We don't know what's going to happen. We have the opportunity. Let's go. So we started looking, and my wife, Erin, had kind of said, she had spent time all over Florida, but she spent like 8 months or so in the Jacksonville area. And she said, Bobby, you know, I think you'll really like it in Northeast Florida. It's they get a little bit of change of seasons. It's a little cooler in the winter. You know, it's not as hot as South Florida. And Greg, you know, we started looking, and I started watching videos. I really started looking in St. Augustine, and Nocatee just kept coming up. Like people would mention Nocatee, and I'm like, where's this Nocatee at? And then I started watching Nocatee videos, and I watched a whole bunch of different realtors and blah blah, you know, a whole bunch. And then I saw your video, and I don't know if the first video that I watched of yours was because you did a video of the Costa Mesa, which is the house that we're in. And I don't know if that was the first one. It might be. So that's kind of weird. But just, I loved your videos. Your personality and your knowledge was just off the charts. And I told Aaron, I said, I got to contact this guy. I hope he emails me back. I don't know, you know. So I watched all your videos, and I was like, you know, I just remember emailing you. And what's interesting is, so not only did I look to see when I sent that email to you last night, but I reread it. In fact, I reread it a couple of times. And it was interesting that the things I said on there just happened to fall into place so perfectly. You know, this is our timeline, which was later. I think our timeline was going to be like building like now, you know, and not moving in till this fall. And I said, you know, we'll consider building if the right neighborhood and if the right lot came along. And holy moly, you know, it did. I mean, it fell into place. And what I wanted to tell you and everybody out there specifically is one of the first things that I said in the email was, because to be honest with you, you know, we're in our early 50s. We've lived in several houses. We know exactly what we want. You know, we know what's important, what's not important, all that stuff. Right? So we really wanted privacy. Now we understand in a master plan community in a neighborhood, that's you're not selling acre or 2 acre lots here. So we want to be around people, but we also want privacy, which is really hard to come by, you know. So, and we know that in certain neighborhoods there can be opportunities that come up, and that was part of the reason we wanted to connect with you so early. You know what I mean? So we could just be like, look, this is where we're at. You know, if there's an opportunity. And there was. Of course, my wife and daughter came down, met with you. You were so nice and gracious to show them a couple of houses. I think y'all went down to, look at me saying y'all. I've been here for 3 weeks, and I'm saying y'all already. So here you go. I don't know, you know. Anyway, y'all went down to Seabrook Village, and you showed them some lots. And I remember that when Aaron came home, we talked about it. And then I reached out to you and just said, I really want to be in Palm Crest, which is the neighborhood that we are in, for anybody out there listening. And you're just like, you know, there's a lot of those lots are sold, but I'll just see, you know, if anything comes up. Well, I think it was a Sunday that you texted and reached out to us and said, hey, this lot just came up and nobody's grabbed it yet. And it's perfect for you because you want privacy. And there's nobody to one side of you, and there's a lake behind you. So there's lake to preserve, and then there's preserve. And that's, you're just like, look, I'm not trying to pressure you into buying it. There's probably going to be a line of people trying to get this lot, but this is the first thing that you said when you reached out to me. And Greg, it was perfect. And we weren't ready for that. And we really just were like, we can't let this opportunity go. We have to try and grab it because it's just not, for us, everybody's different, you know, what they want, of course. But for us, it was absolutely perfect. And the fact that you remembered that privacy was one of the most important things to us just meant so much to us and really just reassured that, you know, and I'll be honest, even though we watched, I don't know how many different realtors, content, I reached out to one. And that's you. So you were the one I wanted to work with from the very start. I was so impressed with your videos, with how well you know your clients and how much you look out for their needs, because we all have different needs, right? We all have different things that we want. And that was so important to us. And we got the right guy. you know, for sure, because we're in a dream house on our dream lot, for sure. So, all right, for the
means a lot, Bobby. Appreciate all those kind words. And you're absolutely right. I do, you know, I think more, I don't know if I was screening as much as I was back then, as I am now, because my time is so important now. There's only so much of me, and I don't run a big team like some of the other content creators out there. I try to explain to people, like they call and they go, "Is that you?" You know, sometimes I can answer when I'm not running around, or I'll get an email and people are like, "Is this really you?" And the answer, yeah, it is me. I'm doing the best I can, but I definitely, you know, you provided a lot of information up front. I think sometimes people feel when they watch video, I try to include a little bit about my life, my story, you know, my daughters, my kid, my situation, my
I lost you, Greg. I don't know.
difficult. We had some technical difficulties.
Oh, there you are. You're back.
Must have been my Wi-Fi. Sorry about that. But as I was saying, people, you know, when they reach out and they've watched so much of my content, I don't know anything about you guys. So when you are so forthcoming to share the information you need, that helps me a lot. And so when folks don't do that, that's why I send out a set of questions, just so I can truly understand your situation. And what gets me, or got me in your situation mostly, was the fact that, you know, you were like, "Man, this is it. This is our big move. Like, this is what we've been planning. These are what's important to me. I'm reaching out way in advance." And kudos to you, because dude, I get people that call me like literally 3-4 days before and go, "Hey, I'll be in town on Thursday. Are you available?" You know, and I'm like, slight chance maybe, but no. And I don't know anything about you. How am I going to help you if I don't know your situation? And so, you know, I love it when people reach out in advance. Most people would be like, "Oh, I can't be bothered with this. He's a year or two out." No, I mean, that's the formulation of the relationship, so that, you know, in the meantime, you're like, okay, there's a lot of variables of what you guys are trying to accomplish at a massive feat. You're moving. I mean, I moved from South Florida just north, you know, 6 hours. You're moving from another state. You have jobs, children, a daughter that's going to be going to college. There's so much logistics involved. And then you have all these variables of budget and what you're trying to accomplish. And so the more time, the better. You know, it's like preparation is everything.
Yeah.
And I think, again, you know, when you were like, I think when I showed Erin 40s and 50-foot lots in Seabrook, she probably went back and goes, "Hey, Bobby, this is not the privacy you're looking for. You know, you're going to need something maybe a little bigger." So that's why we went up to the 60-foot lot product in Palm Crest. But the fluke is I think that, you know, some builders release some lots all at once. We're going through that with Reflections in Seabrook now. And some builders only release 3, 4, 5 lots at a time, and they only release a couple good ones. They don't want to sell all their good lots right away. Well, dude, you were already coming in at like 40%, 30, 40% sold out. So you just happened to come when they were releasing a diamond. And I think it might have been a holiday weekend, and people were not working. And that's my grind time. You know what I mean? Like the 4th of July's, the Easters, like all that or whatever, or Thanksgivings. That's when I'm out meeting my builders the most, because there's this most time I get to hang with them. And it was just an opportunity where, you know, I was like, I texted going, "Dude, this is it, man. This is the one." And I think I kind of put it that way. And it's funny you kind of said it to me, where you're like, you said no pressure or anything, and I wasn't. And that's kind of an oxymoron, because I was like, "Oh, dude, the last thing I want to be doing is called a salesman." But when I was like, "This is it," and I really wasn't sure you were going to go for it. You know what I mean?
I tell you, it was. I mean, it was the Sunday after July 4th, and I don't remember what day July 4th was. Probably the middle of the week. because we had a small pond, and I was in the pond changing a pump for the fish, and I get this text, and I'm like, babe, Greg is what? Said there's a video. I'm like, look at this lot. Like what? And we were just like, it was like Sunday evening actually, and we were just like, oh boy, like because we have built before, right? So we learned very quickly, and just to anybody out there listening or watching at some point, that we knew that every builder down here was high quality builder, right? So we were more interested in the lot than we were the builder. In fact, after we secured this lot, Aaron and I were like, okay, who's the builder? And it was like, I'm like, I don't know, somebody called ICI. And so we went to the website to see what models were available in Palm Crest. We had no idea, because we were actually looking at Providence. So we had no idea. And we of course found the one model, the Costa Mesa, which for us was perfect. So it all worked out, but I wasn't even sure that we were going to get it. I mean, we literally stayed up half the night, Sunday night into Monday, running numbers, because we were 6 months ahead of when we were going to start the process, but we just knew. I mean, a lot like this here, just the timing of it, it just is not something that's going to be available all of the time, right? Only some of the time. And the people that are there and they're waiting and are ready are the people that are going to get that lot. In fact, if memory serves me correctly, there were several other people waiting in line if we would have fallen through. Because to have nobody on your right side and nobody behind you, that's just not that common. And it fits exactly what we were looking for, and you knew that, and you had said, look, there's an opportunity here, and it's exactly what you said you wanted. So what do you think?
Yeah.
We were like, let's go. It was perfect. In fact, we had, I think, 2 weeks or something. There's like a 2-week period if you change your mind. We flew down like a week later to see what we had bought, because we bought it without seeing it. We bought it just on your video, and we flew down. It was a 1-day trip, from Pittsburgh here, rented a car, drove to Nocatee, walked around the lot, and went, wow, this is awesome. And then went back to the airport, and went back home. So, I mean, we moved very quickly, but we were ready to move quickly, and we knew exactly what we wanted, So I think that's really important, and probably what a lot of people who are buying here or talking to you, or thinking about buying here, really, really know what you want, so that you are ready to jump on it when the opportunity presents itself. Because a lot of times you don't have a lot of time to make that decision. It has nothing to do with leverage or pressure or fear of missing out or any of that stuff, right? It's about Nocatee being an incredible place to live, that a lot of people want to live here. And a lot of people are looking at the same lots that you're looking at. You know what I mean? So when the opportunity presents itself, you just got to jump. And we did. And Greg, I mean, we couldn't be happier. I mean, I'm here alone right now. My wife is back in Pittsburgh because our daughter has to graduate high school, because we built early, than what we were going to. But it's incredible. We are so lucky, so fortunate.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a thing that I think, when I had Taylor on, and I think, even my last call, I think people I keep hearing over and over again was, and I tell folks this, and it's a weird thing to tell people that never built before, but it's like, hey, based on what you're describing, the lot is the most important thing. So please decide on a few builders that you could really like their floor plans. Be prepared in advance with those, because it's all about the location in the lot, which is just real estate 101. And here in Nocatee, like you said, those price lots, like your lot for resale, is just, there's just not very many lots that big that have the privacy that you have with preserve on both sides of the lake and everything. So like resale even is insane on these lots long term because they're a price. But it's funny because you said it as well. You're like, I didn't even know the builder that I was getting myself into. And you say all the builders are great, and I say I'm critical of Like, this is track building. This is not custom builds. You know what I mean? Yeah. Although ICI is one of the most, they'll do the most customizations out of any. They're a semi-custom builder. They'll do the most customization. They'll charge you for it, but they'll do it. Yeah. And then the other thing was, it always worries me, Bobby, and you guys did something different. What worries me with ICI sometimes is the design center visits, because these builders, this is where they make their money, in design center. Toll Brothers, ICI, it's not just one, it's all of them. But, you know, I heard previously, because I had other people building in Palm Crest with ICI. I'm not sure if I put you in touch with one of my other persons that built in there, but I had done that in the past, where I'm like, you know what? Here's somebody that went through it already. If you want to know their experience, they're willing to talk to you. One of my other clients, talk to them. And I don't know if you didn't do that, I don't think, but you did hire someone to help you in design center. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I remember one of our conversations, you know, we were sort of like, I think I was texting you like, Greg, there's all these awesome Facebook groups. Are you kidding me? These communities are unreal. Everybody's so friendly. And you were like, check out one called HG Nocatee. Awesome. And you'll get ideas. So we get on there, and there's a designer. Her name was Tanya Jacobson, and she's on there. And she had posted, I just took a client to a design center. These are the pictures. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I sent her a Facebook message, introduced myself, my situation, you know, when the design visit was, and we set up a phone call, just like you and I did. And her and I hit it off so well. And she met me. She went to the design center with me, and I didn't talk to anybody in Palm Crest before I went to the design center. I had posted a message to the Facebook group, and I just asked about, you know, experience with the design center and yada yada yada. And some people had given me some advice, but when I got back from the design center, one of my future neighbors, Jill, had asked about the design center, and I messaged her and said, hey, I just came back from it. It's fresh in my mind. Let's chat on the phone. I will give you all the information that I can just to help you. Because I have to tell you, even with the designer, it's awesome and it's fun, but when you start talking about like grout colors, you know, of tile, I mean, it's overwhelming. So having a designer, and I know that you provide that now. Like, so important and so helpful, because it's so much fun, but it's so much information. You're picking out things, and you have a list, and you have a budget, and you're trying to get through the appointment, and it's so fun, but it's so hard because there's so many things, and having somebody to help you is so important, and it's just so helpful. And Tanya designed basically our entire house, and she's not done yet. So there's more that we're doing, but yeah, for sure. So we did have somebody helping.
So there's a couple things I want to point out there, which I love. You know, I love the fact that you found a community where people are willing to share so much information.
Yeah.
You mentioned Jill. She's also another client of mine, and she's awesome. And you offered to help her. So not only in the spirit of things did you see people that are willing to help you in this community, but then you're turning around and passing it forward to someone else. And I'll tell you what, you know, that's what makes this place special. It's the community side of things. You got a little more privacy than some other people, but you also have that community that if you want the connection, it is so available to you. The other thing that you pointed out that I'm glad you're mentioning is that I had somebody call me literally the other week and say, hey, I want to use your designer. I'm sorry, I was referred another realtor. I'm really bummed that I went with that realtor because they don't really know the community like you do. I watch all your videos, but they're not really helping with design center. Can we just, can we use your design center person? And I was like, well, the design person, you know, Brenda works for me, with me, and all my clients and everything. And I said, you know, but I referred them to Tanya as well, because there are other people that are not working within my organization that do a fantastic job. And she also does pools, because you guys went ahead and did a pool as well, right?
We did.
That's new to me too. You're like, hey, by the way, I mean, actually, you didn't tell me outright right away because we had this wonderful conversation that I have with everyone. And of course, I'm overly opinionated. Bobby's so nice that he didn't want to hurt my feelings. So he hid the fact that he decided to do the pool during the build because I have the opinion like, hey, why don't you live in the house a little while? Let's not spend all this money right away and figure out the pool thing afterwards. And you could probably save some money because certain builders like ICI, there's a surplus on building a pool while you build. There's pros and cons. And of course, I'm opinionated, and you're so nice that you didn't want to share the fact for a little while that you decided to pull the trigger on the pool with the build.
I didn't want you getting mad at me. But I honestly think, and this is a great thing, like so during this process, we didn't talk much, Greg. We didn't talk much. And I remember it was right around the holidays, right around Christmas time. And I started to get to get sick. And all of a sudden, one day I get this video from Greg, and it was like a walkthrough of the house. And it was close to Christmas. I remember that. And we started crying. I had no idea that you were going to do that. You had no idea. We would get pictures from our builder once every week or 2 weeks or whatnot. But I think you were like literally walking through this house going, and here we have the back, and you're apparently doing a pool. And like, oh, I guess you are doing a pool. So it was a late edition, and the builder was like, late edition. And we did. We weighed the pros and cons. And that's why, that's another reason why we went with you, because we could have an honest conversation with you. You weren't going to tell me what I wanted to hear. You were going to tell me your honest opinion on what you thought. And we were going to move forward with the best decision for us, taking into consideration everything. And for us, the most important thing was to do it with the builder. We were willing to pay the little bit extra to do that. Having Tanya certainly helped because, yeah, she designs a lot of the pools for a lot of the models, actually. Her work is incredible. And she, worked seamless with Tier 1, who actually did the pool, and we could not be happier. So for us, the best decision was doing it with the build. But yeah, I was like, I don't want Greg to be mad at me and tell me I'm stupid and like dump me as a client.
Hey, Bobby, there's a hole in your backyard.
Weird. I think he's building a pool. He didn't tell me he's building a pool.
I love it when people. I didn't want to get you mad. I work for you guys. You're not supposed to. I don't get mad at you. You're supposed to get mad at me. But no, absolutely. I you know what? I say it how it is. Unfortunately, that's the Italian Scots Irish in me. And I think I've heard it time and time again. People, they don't want to just hear what they want to hear. They just want a second opinion, and I have had several people that decided to build the pool. I would say 50 to 60% of my buyers, and I have a lot of buyers built the pool as well. And I think part of the benefit of it is you don't have to worry about ripping up the yard afterwards. You don't have to worry about financing on a pool loan. You can actually roll in part of the pool purchase into your mortgage of your home. And you just don't have to mess with, the nonsense of even though you don't have a neighbor on one side and you don't have a neighbor on the other side yet. But, you don't have to deal with the nonsense of messing up the grass and resodding and all that. So it's definitely a personal preference. And I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, golly, dude, you guys did it right. I mean, I remember walking through towards the end there at the few times I went through with the video and I was walking through and I was like, even then I was letting my opinion because my mouth was dropping because I didn't know you hired Tanya either. So I was like, dude, Aaron's amazing. And you guys are phenomenal. I mean, dude, the finishes on this house are insane. Everything is like perfect. The pool design is killer. I'm like, these guys really know what they're doing. And you're like, oh no.
Well, the interesting thing is that Tanya, and we love Tanya, and we're going to continue to work with her. She is very much like you, Greg. I showed Tanya the lights we were going to pick out, because ICI gives you some credit. You can spend this, go shopping at First Coast Lighting. And I was like, when we were at the design center, before we went in, I'm like, hey, can you look at these lights that I picked out? Can you just sort of go, yay, nay? She looked at the lights, and I'm paraphrasing here, but she said something to the effect of, Bobby, and she may have like taken off her glasses, and said, these look like you went to Home Depot when they were having a clearance sale. These are hideous. All match. She's like, they're not supposed to match. And I'm like, I don't know. So I remember texting Aaron going, Tanya said no on the lights. Aaron actually picked out the kitchen lights. So as beautiful as those kitchen lights are, I don't know if she's listening, but Aaron actually picked those out. So Aaron and Tanya get all the credit, because I would not have picked those lights out in a million years. But it's so nice to hire people that are just like yourself, so experienced and so knowledgeable, and just know what they're doing, and can tell you straight out, no, I wouldn't, or strongly object, so, I would have never picked out any of the finishes, any of the lights. I would have gone a different direction, honestly. And the house is beautiful, and I would have never come up with this. So they're amazing. Yeah, Tanya and Aaron just so good with it. I just feel lucky, to be honest with you. Lucky for everything, honestly.
Yeah. Well, you had a good team, and not just myself, but definitely. I think it sounds like I got to get Tanya on here sometime, because she's very well known, and she's clearly got recognition in the community. We have a few designers here in Nocatee, and I think the point being, though, is that what you said, the experience. It's also why it's important to make sure you're dealing with a real estate professional that is already, the first question you should be asking when you're interviewing is, hey, do you have any clients building in this community already? Because it's a big plus when you have somebody that already has a relationship with the builders. And then also, then you bring a designer in that's been to the design center over and over and over again. It is overwhelming because they make you do it in a day or two if you're lucky. And they ask you to do everything in those 2 days. And the biggest complaint I ever get is, I was overwhelmed. I felt pressured. I didn't have enough time. I woke up the next day in sweats going, did I make sure that I did the right decisions? Because the builders also say, especially structural or anything that's in permitting, no changes. They don't want you to do changes, because if they have 80 builds going on and 80 people are making changes, nothing would ever get done. So I can't stress to people how important it is to have a second, third set of eyes and people that have been through this process over and over again. I mean, I myself have somebody that accompanies you guys to go to design center, Brenda. But I tell you what, I'm going to two this month and next month. I'm going to a couple, and Brenda's not going to be available. And I said, don't worry, Brenda, I'll go, because it's always important for me to make sure that I go and check out the design center every once in a while, so that I know what you guys are dealing with. In fact, I always recommend to people is go visit the design center before you even decide to purchase. Because one of the biggest complaints I get specifically about ICI is that their basics people are not happy with the basics. They're almost like, I don't want brown cabinets. That's the basic. So just to get white shaker cabinets is an upgrade. So people come out of there super stressed out, because they don't know what they don't know, and their expectations are crushed because they don't realize that the basics are not necessarily the standard of what's commonly chosen in today's finishes.
It is. You really need somebody with you, and if you can do 2 days, that's great. And if you can go visit before, that's great, because you can't find it online. I looked, you can't go online because they don't want you to see it, obviously, and I'll be honest with you, when I went in there with Tanya, I'm like, okay, we're going to look at cabinets. Let's go. No, we sat down and looked at a diagram of the house and talked about outlet placement and light placement. And I'm like, so like just from the very beginning, I'm like, let's go. It's awesome. I have to be honest though, I was worried because here I am, bringing Tanya, like, let's go. I thought that ICI may have some pushback. I didn't know because they have a designer. My designer's name was Karen, and she was awesome. And I thought, well, they're not going to like me bringing, a professional designer. They loved it. Karen and Tanya, they were great together. And I'm sure, that your designer that you have, Brenda, it's the same thing. She has relationships with the builders. So it makes the whole thing so much easier because again, when you pick out tile for your shower or your bathroom and they're like, okay, what's the color of the grout? I'm like, what? And then, Tanya whips out this thing of like all these different colors and is like frosted white. And I'm like, yes, I would have no idea, like, yeah. So it's just, yeah, the design center it's awesome. It's fun. It's hard because there are so many things that you're going to be asked that you don't think about, even though you try to think about everything. And it's not monopoly money. We are all on a budget. So you really need to keep in mind what you want right away, what you can wait for, and try to stick within that budget. So it's definitely challenging.
Yeah. I know we have a lot of people watching. Hey folks, if you're watching live and if you are watching this recording later on, make sure if you have any questions, this is your opportunity. Bobby's been through Design Center specifically with the ICI. If you have any questions of his experience, please put it in the comments. We'll be glad to definitely address them. So if you have any questions or you're contemplating this whole experience and you have any questions or wet feet or cold feet, wet feet, that's a new one. It has been raining lately. If you have any wet feet, no. Speaking of wet feet, you went with luxury vinyl flooring, and I have to say, it looks really nice and it feels nice. Did you have any concerns about that? Have you had experience with that before? Because I know you love, just like me, you've got your little furry friends. But is there any reason, did you have any apprehension about that with your flooring? Because you've got this beautiful floor plan, really high ceiling. I mean, your home looks gorgeous. And did you have you used luxury vinyl before? Did you have anything about it? Well, how did you get through that? Because that's another big question I get from folks.
Yeah. So
flooring. Big expense.
Yeah. So in the house that we built a couple houses ago, we went with re-engineered hardwood because I wanted to go with hardwood because it's hardwood and it means that I have money and just it didn't hold up well and this is going to sound dumb, but it's me. When I would wash it would look, no. So in the last house that we lived in before we came down here, the basement was the tile that looks like hardwood, right? And it looks amazing, and it's like, wow, this is really, I mean, obviously coming to Florida, I don't think hardwood is the best choice because of the humidity and all that stuff. So it was really down to luxury vinyl plank or this ceramic tile, which looks amazing. Here's the thing, like this video, we're soon to be empty nesters here, and we're in our 50s. The tile hurt our feet. And like when we would stand on it, our feet would ache. And I'm sorry if that makes me sound old, but it hurts my feet. So I wanted something comfortable that didn't hurt my feet, and luxury vinyl plank, you have all sorts of options. You have different widths, different thicknesses, different comfort, all kind of stuff. And we have a pool. And there's going to be people going in and out, dogs and water and traffic, and you need something that's going to hold up to that.
Yeah.
It looks nice and that is easy to clean, is comfortable for us, will hold up to traffic. I don't care if it's cheaper than hardwood or ceramic tile. We have to get what's best for us. That's why we chose it. Would I've chosen it, 10 years ago or 20 years ago? Probably not. You know what I mean? Because I would have been like, well, LVP, no, I need something a little bit more. No, we're about comfort now. We're about what makes us happy. What's the best fit for us?
What's practical, right? I mean, practicality. I mean, the thing is also, I mean, going back to the tile thing, I always tell people that when the builders do these these aren't, these are track homes. They're doing a lot of homes. So the grout lines are usually wider. So the luxury vinyl plank looks great because it's seamless. And then, but the tile would look, you're going to see those grout lines, and they're thick. They're not in grout lines. So I think you made the right choice there. Another thing I get all the time is I'll go and do these home tours of homes that, it's not uncommon in Nocatee now to spend $1 million. Unfortunately, I hate saying that. As we do a new release, I told you earlier before we got on live, I'm like, I think, Bobby, the prices are continuing to go up again. And people are still moving forward. They're just buying smaller houses or smaller lots. But I'll do a video going through a $1.4 million, 3,700, 4,000 square foot house, and people will be like, "Oh, luxury vinyl, really, really, really?" And I'm like, what day and age do we live in where we're still harping on about wood? I mean, I have wood. You can see it behind me. I have 2 or 3 different professional markers where I have to color in where my kids and my dog continually put holes on this soft wood. It drives me nuts. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe I chinched out on the wood I got. Maybe I should have got a higher quality luxury vinyl and not dealt with that crap. Because now I also have a pool, and the kids do traipse in the house wet. And my mountain house that I have in Blue Ridge is old wood, and it's warping from people coming in from the hot tub, So that one, I have luxury vinyl on the basement floor, but I'm like about to do it on the other floors, and people are like, "Don't get rid of this beautiful wood." So it's a really big debate. But I love the way you said it, though. It's almost like what's the status of it? I don't even understand. Because I had a wood guy that said, "Hey, this stuff's more expensive than regular wood, and I could probably switch it around with regular wood, white oak, and you probably mess up and not be able to tell the difference." And sure enough, I had no idea that one of the woods that he had, I thought it was wood, and it was vinyl. So it's changing. I think there's going to be a time where wood's going to be like a classical thing, if you will, the way these luxury vinyls are going. So quickly, I got to ask, because we're already running through this already so long, and nobody's given any questions. So that's cool. I'll ask all the questions. Can you tell me something that you would do differently, or based on your experience, where you would be like, what, I would have done this different, whether it's the house, whether it's the process, or anything?
I thought about this question, and I mean, maybe it's hard for me to say something definitive because everything for us worked out perfectly for us. So, but in terms of the process, the design center, I think if you work with a designer, that's great, and we did. But I was sort of like, you don't need 2 days. Come on. 2 days would be good, because that gives you like a timeout that night where you could sort of refocus and go, okay, what happened today? Because it goes by so fast. The design center is tricky. So I would have split the design center into 2 days if I could have done that, if Tanya was available. And I didn't want to do 2 days because I flew down and then flew back, right? So I didn't take that time.
So you did it all in 1 day?
I did. Yeah. Well, wow. I flew down. I flew down. I left Pittsburgh at like 5 a.m. Like literally flew out at like 5 a.m. And I got to there wasn't a nonstop flight, so I connected in Charlotte. I got to Jacksonville. I don't know what time. I got my design center appointment was at 10 a.m. and I got to the design center at like 9:30 or something like that. And I left the design center and I went straight to First Coast Lighting, picked out the lights, and then drove straight to the airport to catch my flight back. And I was home in Pittsburgh. I was like back to my house at like 1 or 2 a.m. So like 1 day. Wow. I guess that would be the other thing. And Aaron and I were talking about this today. Maybe we would have come down a little bit more. Maybe, but at the same time, if that would have changed, then we wouldn't have ended up where we ended up. So I can't really say the only thing I can really point to is the design center, really, because I picked out the right realtor. So, I worked with the right designer. I got the right lot. I mean, everything worked out in our favor. We were extremely fortunate for that. But the design center, I would say, if I could do it differently, I would have done 2 days for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely highly suggest doing that as well.
Yes.
Like you said, being able to digest. Couple things there. Just out of curiosity, what do you think about Jacksonville Airport? I mean, you said you had to fly through Charlotte. A lot of our flights, we have to go through Atlanta or Charlotte. But I mean, basically, I'd love for people that are watching that are not from here, thinking, I've never flown into Jacksonville. What's your experience and your firsthand thoughts of that?
Awesome.
Airport?
Love it. Small, easy to get around, easy to get from here to there. Love it. Best airport I've ever been in.
Yeah.
I'm not in a ton of airports, but awesome.
Yeah.
I came down after that. I came down in November to meet with Ilya, my construction supervisor from ICI, to do our pre-construction orientation. And just for giggles, I decided to fly into Orlando because Pittsburgh to Jacksonville does not have a lot of nonstop flights, hardly any. A day here, a day there, Sundays. Like when Aaron and I came down to look at the lot that we had purchased, that was nonstop, down here and then back to Pittsburgh. But typically you have to connect. So I was like, you know what, just for giggles, I'm going to fly into Orlando. Massive airport, so big. I had to ask for help and directions multiple times, getting there, leaving, and it's a couple-hour drive, from Orlando. But the appeal of Orlando is that there was like 3 nonstop flights to and from Pittsburgh every day. So the flight's easier, but the airport is like massive. But Jacksonville's small. I did read that they were going to expand it, I think, but I loved it. Small, intimate. It was great. So I loved it. Easy to rent a car, easy to get the baggage. Great.
Yeah. Awesome. We did the Orlando thing recently, and I told my wife, because we went to Park City skiing and we wanted to do the most direct flight we could all the way to Park City.
Yeah.
And we decided to fly out of Orlando. And I told my wife, and I kid you not, Bobby, I told my wife in the middle of the Orlando airport, and we got there. We even stayed the night because we have 2 little ones. That we stayed the night in the airport so we could fly out early and get that direct flight. We almost missed our flight out of Orlando because it was a zoo. And I said to my wife, never. I would rather transfer out of Atlanta or Charlotte any day than drive 2 hours down to Orlando.
Yeah.
Fight the crowds to get on a plane to go direct. And it just happened maybe because I was also after New Year's. So it just happened to be the time of year. But I was like, this place is crazy. And I'm from South Florida. Miami Airport and Fort Lauderdale Airport is insane as well. It's crazy busy. But Palm Beach Airport is small. And it reminds me of the way Jacksonville is. It's a little more chill. I don't know if it is now. I haven't been there in 6 years. But I I just love flying into Jacksonville Airport. Not only that, the staff there, everybody's so friendly. It's so relaxed. But anyway, just wanted to get on that little rampage because no one ever talks about. They always ask, well, what's it like to fly in and out of there? So I thought I'd touch up on that. And I think as we continue to grow, we're going to see more flights, definitely more direct flights for sure.
And it's not far, like from here, from Nocatee, or if you want to buy in one of the other communities, close to here, it's not that far of a drive.
No,
it's easy. It's not like you flying into Jacksonville and driving several hours like you do with Orlando. It's a very quick, very easy drive.
Yeah, especially if you're flying at night, early morning, it's a 35-minute shot straight to the airport for sure. Okay, so to switch back into the house thing again, because since you were like you're so elated with your house, it's a beautiful home. You lucked out. You got the right team, but you didn't mention this call. You told me last time that you were going to do turf, and I'm seeing a lot of people doing turf, but it's insanely expensive, and I don't know the pros and cons of it yet. But now you're doing, is it the golf course grass? Is that what it is?
Bermuda. Yeah, Bermuda grass in the back.
Is that what they call it, Bermuda?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that like the golf course grass? It's really short.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
yeah.
So we have St. Augustine grass, which is the big, crumply, very crunchy, big bladed grass here, and so a lot of people are switching out their lawns to the Bermuda grass, which is awesome. I don't know what's entailed in maintaining it. But what made you switch from turf on the back by the pool area to Bermuda grass? I'm just curious.
Yeah. So the one thing with St. Augustine grass is it needs to be high. So grass in general, you really should mow it to like 3.5, 4 inches, and you have to mow it frequently, right? But the grass, that's where it's really healthy. Is certain types of grasses, like where we're from, Penn State grass. I I just didn't want grass that thick in the back with my dogs because I couldn't, with grass that thick, it's harder to see predators, not to be weird. And there's not predators down here for anybody watching that you go outside and they run out of the woods and attack you. It's not like that. But, there are snakes every now and then and yada, yada, yada. And I just, with my 3 dogs, and we have a little Chihuahua, it's really important just to keep them safe, and we do have an awesome lot, but it's next to a preserve and next to a lake, so, even more so. I wanted the turf because I thought this is a great area. Snakes aren't going to come on here. It'll be very easy to see, visibility. The thing is that I set it up before I came here, just from blueprints of the house. And as soon as I got here, Greg, we were only going to do one small area in the back, and I just didn't like it. It just sort of broke my heart. And I thought, okay, well, if I'm going to do turf, I need to do turf in the whole backyard, and that was too much for me. So it needed to be this small area, but with 3 dogs, it just didn't make sense to do that. And I just started doing what I did when I found you. I started looking at YouTube videos and reading blogs and blah, 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 and found out about Bermuda grass. And you brought up a good point that when people choose to build their pool after they buy the house, which is a great option, the construction of the pool kind of messes up the grass, right? So obviously they're bringing the equipment in. And so you have to replace it. Well, I was reading on a blog that a lot of people replace the grass with Bermuda grass or zoysia grass. Because they have to replace it anyway. They want to get something that they prefer a little bit better. The thing with Bermuda grass is that it thrives in very hot conditions. I'm not a grass expert, so if I'm wrong, I apologize. Don't hate me in the comments. But it repairs itself. If it can stand up to dogs and stand up to traffic and drought-like conditions, then it's fine. And it's really, really short. And that's what I wanted. Really short grass so that our little Chihuahua can go out and do her thing without grass, up to her head, so yeah. And when you look at that and, who we got to do it is the actual company that maintains our yard in the first place, and is going to be planting some privacy hedges for us. It made sense. It was a better solution for us. I'm a big proponent of turf. I still think turf is a fabulous idea, but in the small section that we were going to do it in, it just didn't make sense with the 3 dogs. So that's when I had to change my mind.
I love you bringing up a good point. And again, I don't sugarcoat anything. You know that. I mean, you're treading on things lightly, but yeah, we absolutely do have snakes. We don't have a ton of snakes, but there is a season where we have snakes. And so I live on a preserve, not just lake to preserve, but I mean, you also have water moccasins and everything. Right. And we've found snakes in our backyard on 2 occasions. And I'm very grateful that Paisley didn't go up to the snake. And because I have neighbors that have, and they're not big snakes. All it takes is a little poisonous snake. And we had neighbors where their dog was just poking his head into the garden, and sure enough, a little snake bit him, and they had to rush him to a specific hospital to have the venom removed. Yeah, like $1,000. Look at me. I'm like, even though I love my dog, I'm still complaining that it was $1,000 for them to do that. But my wife would be absolutely livid with me because she would be freaking out for Paisley's life. Second of all, having to rush to, there's a specific places here in Jacksonville that you can go to have you could do that. You could be at a bad time of day too, and your dog get bit. So I don't like to go through that anymore. So for that reason, dude, I don't even take her out on the backyard behind my pool anymore in the preserve, because I just can't take that chance. Yeah, I have regular St. Augustine grass and 100%. Paisley's a smaller 17-pound dog. She wouldn't see it, or I wouldn't see it. So that's a pretty good point. I like that, that you thought of that.
We need to have visibility, and our dogs, at least for a while, are never, even though we have a fenced-in backyard and a really good lot back there, they will never be off leash until I get a handle on, what's going on. It's just not worth it to me, and exactly right. In that thick grass, you cannot see a little pygmy, you just can't see it, and, I just need to have the visibility. And with grass that is an inch high, I'll be able to see them. It'll be able to be picked up on our security camera, which we have. And, we'll always go outside, do a really quick security scan, and then go, okay, come on. Because our dogs we're huge animal people. And my job is to protect them. They can protect themselves, but they don't know what it's like down here. They don't know the snakes. Like you said, if they step on a pygmy's going to bite them. And now you're talking, you have an emergency on your hands. So we're going to do everything we can do to control that, and to prevent that, So, and happy to do it, honestly. So can't wait. So I don't know when it's going to go. Can't wait.
Cool. I'm excited. I'm seeing so many things, because I still, I drive by your house every day because I'm still going and looking at my other clients' builds. And first thing I noticed right away when I go by your driveway is that you have this gorgeous 6-seater golf cart already parked out in the front, gleaming, probably has the lithium batteries, raised, everything. I mean, dude, you didn't hold back, did you?
Told you I was going to do that.
Jeez. I tell you what, I tell this story all the time, and I tell the story where I had folks that bought the golf cart before they even had a dining room table, and they're like, "What? We eat at the kitchen bar. What's the big deal?" I'm like, "Are you going to get a dining room table?" "Yeah, but we got the golf cart." "Did you see the golf cart?" "The golf cart." But I tell that story, and I asked Bobby, "Are you ready to get the golf cart?" And you're like, "Don't worry, dude. I have a dining room table."
We're good on stuff. We got the table. One of our neighbors actually sells them. So we were talking back in February. I sent him a picture of the one I wanted. So when I visited him the day, I think it was, we did the walkthrough, we went down and ordered it. Like, we were ready to go. No, I was sitting in the driveway and I was trying to figure out how to connect Bluetooth. So yeah, it was awesome.
How do you go about that? I get that all the time, and there's so many different ways you can go about this. How did you decide? You bought it custom from a neighbor, you said, or how do you decide where to shop for the golf cart? I know there's even a Nocatee Facebook group for golf carts, I believe, but I haven't shopped at a golf cart in 5 years since I've had mine for that long. But how did you decide?
So it goes back to there is a Facebook group for Palm Crest, and I think a lot of neighborhoods have their own Facebook group. Like Seabrook has one as well for Palm Crest, Coral Ridge, and Seabrook Village, and probably Reflections as well. But then each neighborhood then has their own. And I don't know, many months ago, I saw something on there from one of our neighbors who was a golf cart dealer in Texas, and he was going to, open up a place here, and specializing in selling one particular kind of golf cart called Venom. And so Bobby got online and started doing his research and looked at Venom, and the parts were acquired overseas, but the golf carts were assembled here. Up in Wisconsin, I think. And so I reached out to him and said, "Hi, I'm Bobby. I'm going to be your neighbor, yada, yada, yada. These carts look amazing. Is there any way, we can meet with you and, look at what you..." "Hey, Bobby, absolutely." So the fact that it looked like a great golf cart that came with so many things, but he's my neighbor, and if I can buy a golf cart from my neighbor, then that's who I'm going to buy a golf cart from, because he's in a amazing person. His family has been so nice to me and Aaron so far that goes well beyond just buying a golf cart from. They're so friendly and so nice. But if I can buy a golf cart from a neighbor or do business with a neighbor, that's what I'm going to do. That means more to me than anything else. And Nocatee is awesome in that. And the only other thing I wanted to say, I know we're running out of time, but we opened an account at one of the banks here, because the bank that we use in Pittsburgh isn't anywhere close, to here. So we opened the account, whatever, once we closed. And last week, I went in there to deposit a check, a small check. And I went in there to deposit it. And as I was leaving, one of the people that works there, stood up, walked out of his cube, and who, I had worked with on the first day, I think 2 weeks or a week earlier. And he's like, "Hey, Bobby, how are you doing? Did Erin go back to Pittsburgh? When's she coming down?" The fact that he remembered that and that he was asking me about that, and I was just like, this is why I moved here. Because people talked about Nocatee and these master plan communities having a sense of community. And people look out for each other, and they talk to each other, and they become intertwined in each other's lives. And it was so important to Erin and I. And that's another reason why we didn't want to wait. It was like, okay, our daughter's going to go to school down here. Let's go. We want to be down here. We want to ride our golf cart to the swimming pool or to the dog parks. Amazing. Can't wait to use those. To the grocery store, to the bank, to the restaurant, wherever. And have people, one of the people that makes subs up at Publix, we talk Steeler football every time I go in, because he's a Steelers fan. And he remembers me. "Hey, Bobby, what's up? So their schedule's on. What do you think?" I'm like, so it's having that. We love that. And we heard that Nocatee was like that. And only 3 weeks in, it's proving to be. So great. So great.
It's been 3 weeks. Yeah. Well, that warms my heart, man, because that's kind of why we came here 5 years ago. And I think it's one of the things that make this place special is the connection. And other people that are not from here, they kind of look down upon it and call it the bubble, if you will. But I think since COVID, man, that's really what people were yearning for, that connection. And I'm really glad to hear it's not dead. I always tell folks that, you can look at a resale. Sometimes it makes more sense to buy new construction based on the pricing of resale. But the more important thing to know is that when you move into a new community, everybody's new. And a lot of people are from everywhere. And so for that reason, you're going to definitely connect with people more than if you're in a resale, because people already kind of established their friendships. Not to say you won't make friends, but dude, it when you move in here. Everybody's like, "Where'd you move from? What did you build? How was your experience? What kind of golf cart do you drive?" All those kind of things. Those are all the same things that we all have in common. So that's our connection. And what warmed my heart too is, I don't know, you started talking with one of my other clients, Jill, and she's probably watching on here. They're awesome folks. Their house is getting there almost. But that I was like, "Oh, Jill too." I met her on the online thing. I'm like, that's awesome, because I know y'all are good people. I'm so fortunate to work with amazing people that I was like, "Oh, cool, you've already met them." Because I try to do events where y'all can meet each other. But I'm like, that's what it's about. It's not even at the end of the day. Like, people go, "Well, what's the best builder?" And I'm like, Nocatee has pretty decent builders compared to other communities. We're not dealing with lower tier builders. The bottom line is, at the end of the day, your house is important, but it's the community and the connection that you get here, the lifestyle that it offers. It sounds so cliche, but you know what though? When I met you guys, and every time you come down, I'm like, dude, I feel so good about adding more people like yourselves to the community. And I'll tell you what, I've got 2 other families from Pennsylvania, and my wife's family's from there or whatever. Man, my people from Pennsylvania rock. So all my PA folks, call in, keep coming. I'll love to serve you. We've got a little community going down here, and I think Bobby's made it very evident that they feel like they made the right decision. So Who is this? Somebody made a comment and I didn't see it. Nocatee is an absolute gem of a community. Super safe, nice families, no people with purple. Oh. American flags, good schools, not pushing a liberal agenda. All right. Well, thanks for the comment. Without getting into the politics and everything, yes, Nocatee is a nice community. I think we can all agree about that. Bobby, I can't thank you enough, my friend, for coming on and hanging out with me tonight. You didn't even hesitate when I asked. I know it's not easy to jump on a YouTube and share your life, but you've been an absolute, you've become a good friend to me, dude. Every time I see you, you light up. Your aura, something about you, man. You're contagious. So I'm so glad you guys joined us here in the community, and I've got the honor to work with you, get to know you guys. If anybody has any more comments or anything, put it in the comments section. If we don't get to it in this during the recording, we'll get to it later. But Bobby, any last comments or anything you want to add?
The only thing I would say is, if you're contemplating it, the office is at the front of the house, so I'm one of those people that, I'm always, oh, who's out there? Who's looking?
Yeah.
If you're considering Nocatee, then just come down, check it out. If I can be of help to anybody, if anybody has any questions that they didn't want to, make a comment here, reach out to me, find me on social media, or reach out to Greg and say, hey, I want to talk to Bobby. You can share my information with anybody. And you come down, check it out. It's got great people, a great sense of community, and that is why we came here. It is an amazing place. I mean, miles and miles of walking trails, biking trails. You come down here, that's what you see. People walking their dogs, people riding their golf carts, riding their bikes. It's just so wonderful down here. We didn't want to wait till we were older. We said, let's come now. So that's what I would encourage you to do. Keep doing your research. Talk to Greg. Visit. Talk to me. Talk to anybody. This place is amazing. It really, really is. Talk to me in August when it's 110, and I'll change my mind.
I think we'll leave on that one. Yes, look up Bobby in August during hurricane season, which humid.
Yeah, I'm like,
and his hair's frizzing everywhere.
Yeah.
That's when we'll have you back on.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I think as the last time we did this, I did it with Dean from New York, and he said, "Don't wait, just do it."
Yes. Don't wait. A year ago, I sent an email, and now I'm here in my house.
Yeah, you're early. Bobby, you're early. You're not supposed to be here for another. Your build's supposed to start now. You're not supposed to be here for another year.
Nope. The lot forced us, and I'm glad.
Yeah. The lot forced you. Well, you did it right. All right, folks. It's been fun. It's been real. If you're thinking about moving to the area, my name is Greg DiTullio. And of course, I'd love to be your resource of choice. My information will be in the description below. You can text me, email me, call me. And by all means, it's never too early. It's never too late, like Bobby said. And if you have any questions from a resident, you've got one right here. You got a new neighbor if you come down the neighborhood. We'll see you next Thursday night. Thank you for joining us. Until next time.